The world has always kept a close eye on Iran's missile program, but what recently surfaced has shaken intelligence agencies, military planners, and global powers far more than anyone openly admits. For years, warnings echoed through classified briefings in Washington, London, and Tel Aviv. Iran was getting closer to a break, through the West never wanted to see. Still, most analysts assumed it would take another decade before Iran could field such an advanced system. They were wrong. Satellite images, leaked reports, and a surprising announcement from Tehran revealed that Iran had crossed a line, one that dramatically shifts the balance of power in the Middle East and potentially far beyond. It began quietly. Satellite operators noticed increased activity at the sprawling Sharaud missile test site. Large transport vehicles, new construction, an unusual heat signature beneath a massive hangar. These were the first clues. But when high-resolution images captured the silhouette of a missile, unlike any in Iran's known arsenal, alarms rang across Western capitals. The missile was longer, sleeker, and coated with an unfamiliar thermal material. Analysts suspected what Iran would confirm days later. It was testing a new hypersonic ballistic missile capable of maneuvering at extreme speeds, something only a few countries on the planet had achieved. For decades, Iran relied on traditional ballistic missiles, fast but predictable. They followed clear arcs and could be intercepted by modern missile defense systems such as Israel's Arrow 3 or America's THAAD. But this new missile was different. It didn't simply fall from the sky on a fixed trajectory. It could glide, twist, dip, and correct its course mid-flight, making it nearly impossible to predict or intercept. Western defense officials quietly admitted what they refused to say publicly. Even the most advanced anti-missile shields might fail against such a weapon. Inside Iran, state television proudly showcased Revolutionary Guard commanders touring enormous underground bunkers. These missile bases, some stretching for miles beneath mountains, had long been shown to intimidate rivals. But this time, something new appeared. Hardened silos, automated launch platforms, and rows of advanced guidance systems. Engineers explained with visible pride how they mastered solid fuel engines, advanced thermal shielding, and computer-guided control fins. Every detail made one thing clear. Iran had not just improved its missiles, it had leapfrogged several generations of technology. Western analysts dug into the details. The new missile appeared capable of traveling more than 400 kilometers, possibly even 200, depending on the payload. But the range wasn't the only issue. The real danger lay in its terminal maneuverability. At hypersonic speeds, even a slight adjustment makes interception nearly impossible. The fact that Iran developed this under heavy sanctions stunned experts. How did they acquire the necessary materials, components, and computational modeling tools? Some suspected foreign assistance. Others believed Iran had either engineered captured technology or developed its own innovations in secret research labs shielded from international scrutiny. The West had long feared a moment like this, not because of Iran's intentions alone, but because it could trigger a dangerous chain reaction. If Iran possessed such a capability, regional rivals would feel compelled to respond. Israel intensified work on next-generation interceptors. Saudi Arabia accelerated talks with the United States and possibly China regarding advanced missile defenses. Turkey and Egypt recalculated their own strategic plans. A single breakthrough had effectively started a silent arms race. Meanwhile, Iran framed the missile as a purely defensive tool. Officials repeatedly insisted that the weapon was a deterrent, meant to prevent war, not start one. They pointed to decades of sanctions, threats of military strikes, assassinations, and sabotage operations targeting Iran's nuclear and missile programs. In their view, developing an unstoppable missile ensured national survival. Within Iran, the missile became a symbol of resilience under pressure and defiance against foreign intervention. But outside Iran, concerns grew rapidly. Intelligence reports suggested the missile could carry multiple types of warheads, including high explosive, bunker, buster, or potentially non-conventional payloads. Its precision increased the risk of preemptive strikes, decapitation missions, or strategic infrastructure attacks. The missile didn't need a large explosive charge to be effective. With hypersonic accuracy, even a smaller warhead could cripple a key military base, energy facility, or command center. NATO allies convened emergency meetings. Military planners recalculated response times and defense strategies. They realized that if Iran shared this technology with allied groups or nations, the consequences could be devastating. A missile that could evade interception would fundamentally change battlefield calculations. Even small militias could become major threats if they gained access to such weapons. The fear extended beyond the Middle East. European nations, particularly those within range of Iran's longer-range systems, started reassessing their missile defenses. Countries like Germany, France, Italy, and Greece quietly expressed concern that they were unprepared for hypersonic threats. Meanwhile, Russia and China closely monitored the situation. Some analysts argued that Iran's new capability could complicate global power dynamics, while others believed it might strengthen Iran's bargaining power in future diplomatic negotiations. The origins of this breakthrough became a topic of intense debate. Some believed Iran had received indirect technical support through international partners. Others argued that years of sanctions forced Iran to become self-sufficient, investing heavily in engineering programs, aerospace research, and underground industries. Iran's ability to produce advanced solid-fuel engines, guidance systems, and aerospace composites indicated a level of sophistication that surprised many experts. In recent years, Iran had showcased drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic systems with increasing accuracy. The attack on Saudi oil facilities in 2019 demonstrated how effective Iranian precision weapons had become. And yet, even after that incident, few believed Iran could master hypersonic or maneuverable re-entry technology so quickly. This latest development proved the opposite. Iran had crossed a threshold that changed the strategic landscape. One of the most alarming aspects was Iran's claim that the missile could bypass all current missile defenses. Even if this was partly exaggerated, experts acknowledged that a hypersonic maneuverable missile would be extremely difficult to intercept. Most missile shields rely on predicting the missile's path. But if the path constantly changes, the interception algorithms fail. The missile becomes like a phantom, visible on radar but too fast and unpredictable to stop. Inside classified military briefings, Western officials discussed scenarios. In one scenario, Iran could strike a major U.S. base in the region with little warning. In another, it could target critical infrastructure in rival states. Even if Iran had no intention of using such weapons offensively, the mere existence of the missile altered enemy behavior. Countries would be forced to assume the worst, increasing tensions and reducing the margin for error. What worried analysts even more was the possibility of miscalculation. In a region where conflicts can escalate rapidly, a misunderstanding or false alarm could lead to a devastating chain of events. Hypersonic technology compresses decision-making time. Military commanders may have only minutes, sometimes seconds, to respond. This increases the risk of accidental war. Despite the global concern, Iran continued to test and refine its missile. Footage from military parades showed painted mock-ups on transporter vehicles. New underground silos appeared on satellite images. Analysts concluded that Iran was preparing to mass-produce the missile, integrating it into its broader strategic arsenal. The Revolutionary Guard leadership hinted that this was only the beginning, suggesting that even more advanced systems were already in development. Western powers responded diplomatically, publicly condemning the missile tests while privately discussing countermeasures. Some urged renewed negotiations to limit Iran's missile program. Others favored economic pressure or covert operations to slow Iran's progress. Yet none of these approaches seemed certain to succeed. Iran had proven it could innovate under sanctions and pressure. It had become far more resilient than many expected. Meanwhile, the global military balance continued to shift. With Iran joining the small club of nations possessing advanced missile technology, geopolitical alliances started to evolve. Countries opposed to Western influence saw Iran's success as a model for self-reliance. Some even expressed interest in technological cooperation. The United States and Europe saw this as a dangerous trend, one that could undermine global nonproliferation efforts and inspire other countries to pursue similar advancements. As the story unfolded, media outlets around the world debated whether Iran's breakthrough would lead to stability or instability. Some argued that stronger deterrence would prevent war, as nations would hesitate to strike a country capable of devastating retaliation. Others believed the opposite, that increasing power only hardened positions, escalating tensions and reducing the chance of peaceful resolution. In military think tanks, analysts held long discussions about how warfare was evolving. Hypersonic systems, autonomous drones, and advanced precision weapons were reshaping the battlefield. Iran's breakthrough was a sign that technology was spreading faster than ever before, and countries previously considered technologically limited were now becoming major military innovators. The West had underestimated Iran's scientific talent, industrial capability, and long-term strategic patience. As the months passed, the world realized that the missile was not a one-time achievement. It represented a new era. Iran continued to unveil upgraded variants, faster, more maneuverable, harder to detect. They showcased mobile launchers, underground rail systems, hardened bunkers, and even decoy launch facilities. The message was clear. Even if enemies tried to destroy Iran's missile capabilities in a preemptive strike, they would fail. The arsenal was too vast, too protected, and too advanced. In response, regional tensions fluctuated. At times, the threat of overwhelming retaliation created a fragile stability. At other moments, small skirmishes felt like they could ignite something far larger. Every missile Iran tested was studied frame by Western analysts. Every launch triggered alerts in defense networks across the region. And every advancement reminded the world that Iran had fundamentally changed the strategic equation. Behind all the geopolitical noise, one reality remained unshakable. Iran's missile breakthrough had rewritten the rules. It forced militaries to rethink their assumptions, governments to reconsider their policies, and intelligence agencies to revise their threat assessments. Iran had achieved what many thought impossible under sanctions and isolation. It had developed a weapon that even superpowers struggled to defend against. Whether this breakthrough leads to greater deterrence or greater danger remains uncertain. But one thing is undeniable: the West never wanted to see this moment, yet it has arrived. And now the world must face a new era shaped by speed, precision, and the silent shadow of missiles hidden deep beneath the mountains of Iran.